morning, everyone. Good morning. Did you hear the chicken balking? Zazen was pointing out, she's like, I don't think I've ever heard a chicken before, but of course, it's the Buddha's birthday. Some eggs are getting laid today. So today is Hanamatsuri, so the flower festival, the Buddha's birthday. I'm grateful to Hojo-san who's invited me to offer some words this morning. This is the day when we celebrate, and I'm just going to scooch over slightly, so I'm not quite so far from this side of the room. I love you all. I love you all. This is the day when we celebrate the reality of awakening in our world. The possibility, but most importantly, the reality of it. The miracle of the cherry blossoms, of all that which is young and fresh and springy and vibrant, emerging from the dark springtime. We're so lucky that this part of the globe is springing right now into life. Now, in a minute, I'll say a little bit more about today's very special celebration, but I want to actually start by talking about the way in which today is not special at all. So, for me, it began, as my mornings often begin, unfortunately, I think, with a look at my email inbox. It's almost certainly too early when I pick up the phone to look at my email inbox. A good day is like I hit the cushion, I hit the zafu before I hit my phone, before I pick up that infernal demon box, as our teacher calls it. But I look at the inbox always with the same intention. I'm looking for something good, right? You know what I mean, right? This social scientists, cognitive scientists will tell us that about the dopamine hits that our demon boxes, the way they hijack our brains, the way they jack into our nervous system. There I am. I'm looking for something good. And of course, if I get the predictable slurry of stuff that isn't good, war and destruction, buy this now, act fast, danger, Will Robinson, something's happening. If I get the bad news, I still win from a dopamine perspective, good or bad. It's all win-win, even when it's lose-lose. And I think many of us, today's New York Times front page magazine article is all about basically how to break up with your smartphone. Haven't read it yet, but I intend to later today. I think for many of us, am I right, we're grappling with the digital world. We're grappling with that way in which our nervous systems are getting hijacked. And that's a whole other line of inquiry. Today I really want to focus on the truth that we're looking for something good. Right? We are hardwired for hope. We're hardwired for, in fact, liberation, which is hope manifest in our hearts and minds. So this morning I looked at my inbox and I did find something good. I'm on the mailing list for the Center for Action and Contemplation, which is the organization some of you may know. It's founded by the Franciscan priest, Father Richard Rohr, and he's kind of a radical, gentle radical in the Christian tradition, someone who is merging mysticism with action, contemplation with action, hence the name of the foundation. He's kind of a favorite for a lot of us Zennies and weirdos like me, spiritual weirdos out in the world. He's a non-dual theist, if you can imagine that. Anyway, Father Rohr's message, indulge me a little bit here, Father Rohr's message was in honor of Easter Sunday. Like today's Easter. Today's Easter and Hanamatsuri and Passover. By the way, the last time this happened, Easter Sunday, Hanamatsuri, and Passover, it was 2012. The next time this trifold coincidence will happen, it'll be 2034. Hanamatsuri is celebrated traditionally April 8th. Here at Buddha Eye, we celebrate it on the Sunday closest to April 8th. Passover is aligned with the Hebrew calendar, the 15th of the lunar month of Nisan. Easter, there's a complicated also, zodiacal, it's not zodiac, but calendrical, shall we say, complication of the solar and the lunar calendars. So when these things line up, it's kind of interesting and auspicious. And I point to that because the auspiciousness is a reminder. When I get all interfaithy with you guys, it's because awakening is for everyone. It's all over the place. It's right here. The chickens themselves know about it. So what Richard Rohr wrote this morning was, or whenever he wrote it, it was posted this morning, was really beautiful. He mentioned how lucky we are, in fact, for Easter to always be in this part of the world, coinciding with springtime. And he wrote, "I went out early this morning to see the Easter sunrise. Sure enough, the sun rose as it always does and peaked over the horizon just between two mountains. It appeared not so much like a sunrise as a ground swell. The light was coming from the earth. It was coming from the world we live in. It was coming not from the top, but from the bottom. It seemed to say that even all of this which looks muddy and material, even all of this which looks so ordinary and dying, will be reborn." And what Father Rohr says is, God, the universe's final word, is resurrection. That life is alive, beautiful, sacred, despite it all. Easter, he says, is the feast of hope. Well, friends, on this day that brings together Easter and Passover and Hanamatsuri, right? These are all festivals of hope. How auspicious to celebrate that together. We have spring. We have hope. And that reminder seems really timely on a morning when there's also all the other things that are in the inbox. Festivals of awakening, festivals of hope. Now, hope is really easily, I think, grabbed hold of in a way that's not so helpful. Festivals of hope, not festivals of faith, not festivals of belief. What's at stake here isn't that something good will happen in the future, like a faith or belief in a future, but rather that something good has already happened. And because of that goodness, another way has opened to us. Something good has already happened. And because of that goodness, another way has opened to all of us. So, hope, which is a word that I kind of get like a little allergic to. I remember in my days working as a chaplain, this idea that I'm supposed to help people get hope could feel a little cringy. I don't know if anyone shared. I'm a cynic, so let's have at it. Cynic, melancholic. But that cringy thing, like thinking about hope as sort of this simple optimism, like turn that frown upside down. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? Something also kind of maybe a little more actively toxic in its level of denial, like a kind of Scarlett O'Hara. I don't know if that reference means anything to you, but after all, tomorrow is another day, right? That sort of like, forget about karma, forget about history, lean into the future when the good things will arrive. Sort of thinking about hope as, putting our fingers in our ear, la, 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 it's all going to be good in the future. I think that Pollyanna-ish or Scarlett O'Hara-ish, turn your frown upside down, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, that kind of thinking about hope is probably why contemporary poet Caitlin Saida responds with such delightful vehemence to Emily Dickinson's famous poem. So Emily Dickinson's famous poem about hope, you might have seen it. I'll just read the first stanza. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. So that's Emily Dickinson. Caitlin Saida says, hope is not some delicate, beautiful bird, Emily. It's a lowly little sewer rat that snorts pesticides like they were lines of coke and still shows up on time to work the next day looking no worse for wear. think I'm feeling a little bit of that chicken. Walk, walk, walk. So, yeah, I love, thing with feathers, which, by the way, is a very weird description of a bird, the thing with feathers, right? We all need to read a little more closely. Emily Dickinson isn't all delicate and filigree, by the way, just saying. But, sewer rat, thing with feathers. The thing about hope, again, is it's perched right here, not in the future. It's the thing within us that knows there's another way. It's the thing within us that sees the light, that sees the end of darkness, that goes, walk, walk, walk. It's the thing within us that leans into this moment. The crocus that pokes through the mud. It keeps singing like that thing with feathers, no matter what. So our hope isn't about awakening. Our hope is awakening itself, the mind of awakening, the thought of awakening, the aspiration to awakening, our bodhicitta, our heart mind of awakening. That's what hope is within us here and now. Here in our hearts, in our very hearts, we know the truth of spring. That's why they say hope springs eternal. In our very hearts, we know that truth. We're hardwired for this. And what Hanamatsuri reminds us in its central image of the baby Buddha is about what it means to take care of that hope, what it means to tend to it, what it means to take care of the bodhicitta within us. I think here about that baby Buddha within me, and I think about what our tradition has to teach us about baby practice. There's actually a lot in our tradition about baby practice. So there's the 2nd century sutra that describes the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana Sutra that describes baby practice like this, giving us this classic metaphor that the Buddha, the Tathagata, is like a baby. Okay, so just like the awakened one, babies don't move. They don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. They don't speak. The world centers completely on them. They're at the very center of the world. There's no coming. There's no going. There's no need for speech. There's a completeness in newborn babies that we recognize. That's what the awakened one is. And so we gather around that baby. We gather around that awakened heart. And when we move into the ceremony, one of the teachings that Hojo-san has given us, it's like, just smush in. Don't be, like, just, all the kids will come in, we'll just smush in, grab the ladles, put the sweet water on over the head of the baby Buddha, and it's that cooing, gooing urge toward the center to smush in. That's what the heart of awakening awakens in us. And through their gunk and their poop and all their mess that might not be so adorable, that perfection that we might want to clean off, there's nothing that needs cleaning, even when we're cleaning off the gunk and the poop. And of course, in the legends, the baby Buddha, sprung from his mother's side and there was no gunk and poop. And that's a whole other... That completeness, that springiness within us. Complete, perfect. Pure just as it is, which is why we can bathe it with such delight and joy. And every other weekday morning, we recite the lines from the Precious Mirror Samadhi, words that are attributed to Dongshan, to our ancestor, who also is the central voice, or one of two voices in the koan that Shuso has been teaching from, Dongshan Tozon Ryokai. In the Precious Mirror Samadhi, we have an echo. Just to remind those of us who chant those lines on a regular basis, we have lines that also remind us of baby practice, that bring forth this same teaching. Like a newborn child, the mind of awakening is fully endowed with 5 aspects: no going, no coming, no arising, no abiding. A baby babbles, is anything said or not? Babies are really something. They teach us what hope is, and they teach us how to tend to our own heart of awakening, which is about orientation. It's about that gathering round. They teach us that of all the things, the Dharma alone cannot be forcibly handled. We don't get to grab it, perch ourselves upon it. It's what perches in the heart. The perfection is not something we attain, not something we have, not something we hold. It's what orients us. It's the center of the mandala that is our world, that is our heart. Meanwhile, I've been doing a lot of baby practice at home. We have a new baby who has 4 legs and fur. She's a puppy, okay? Just to clarify. And her name is Thea, which, without thinking, yes, I named her the Greek word for goddess, because babies are all the sovereigns of the world. The world orients toward them. They are at the center of the mandala. Anyway, Thea, like the Tathagata, no going, no coming. Well, Thea goes everywhere. She's a little bit, she goes everywhere. Puddles everywhere. She's not like a human baby in that sense. But what she's been teaching me about awakening has been delightful and profound, and very much of the nature of the springtime itself. In Zen Mind, Beginner's Minds, Suzuki Roshi compares Zazen and Zen training in general to relationships to things like cows and sheep, and I might say puppies. It's his version of the Venerable Ox-herding pictures. He says the way to train in Zazen, to train the mind, it's like training a sheep or a cow. He says you got to give your sheep or cow a large, spacious meadow. That's the way to control them. When I first read these words years ago, I really didn't understand them, and I'm beginning to understand them now. Like, how is that spaciousness a way of care and control? How could I ever become free unless I push into the possibility of freedom, unless I push really, really hard? How could becoming free, waking up, be so spacious and vast? Well, Thea, who, is a very, 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 very naughty little girl who won't do what I want her to do until I orient toward her, right? Have you ever experienced this with babies, with elders too? I mean, there's the beings in our world that are a little unruly, puppies, babies, us. Did someone say us? Yes, us. No way but to orient toward them. Thea is a very, very, very good girl when I orient toward her, when I stop trying to manage and manipulate. That's when transformation begins. So here's my not so very good little poem for our morning of celebration, of awakening. Babies and Buddhas and Easter and chicken and eggs and all of that. Here we go. Hope is a small, blue, brindled puppy. She stops us in our tracks. She chews what can't be eaten and never stops snacking, not once. And in truth, she asks for nothing, and she will rest her head on our lap for free. So may we all exult in that which we cannot contain.